Hello, Namaste. Welcome to Dev's Hammer Show. This is English talk show on Indigenous television and ITV Nepal. This talk show features in-persons and online interviews with guests from different backgrounds. We discuss issues impacting Indigenous peoples worldwide. We share experiences and foster connections between the communities. In this episode, I have invited very important and renowned lawyer who is from Thailand, and she is currently based in Bangkok, covering the issues of Indigenous peoples from Myanmar, India, and Nepal. She is associated with an organization called Accountability Council, which is based in United States. But this organization actually works for the corporate sector accountability. And recently, this organization has launched a book, a report on FPIC, free, prior, and informed consent. And that report actually includes a number of case studies from Nepal. And I have invited Sutharee Wanasiri, a lawyer, who actually has laid to launch this report. So to start with our conversations, first of all, let me welcome her to my show. Sutharee Wanasiri, welcome to the Dev's Hammer Show.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sutharee. To start with our conversations, can you please tell us a bit about yourself and your role at the Accountability Council? As I said in background, as you are a lawyer, but you are involved with so many different things. So could you tell us a bit about yourself and your work, especially with the Accountability Council?
So my name is Sutharee Wanasiri. I am from Bangkok, Thailand, and I work with Accountability Council as the community associate, like for the Asia regional programs. And at Accountability Council, our main missions is to work alongside the community and also partner organizations that have been affected by the international investment into development projects. And these investments, although it has a good intentions to accelerate economic growth, at the same time, it had also brought a negative impact on environment, on livelihoods, and also severely affected the local community, especially if they are in a vulnerable positions or they are marginalized group. So our work is to use the mechanisms, we call it independent accountability mechanisms, as the approach to demand accountability and justice from the financial institutions and the investor. Thank you.
I have been following the work of Accountability Council for long, and I came to know that you have recently launched the free, prior, and informed consent report, in short known as the FPIC report. Why this report has been undertaken by the Accountability Council? And also I saw that a number of cases that you have included from Nepal too, and why the incident or cases from Nepal is important in this report.
Thank you so much for the questions. So Accountability Council has an honor to work alongside the communities and also partner in Nepal for several years. Our engagements with the community in Nepal has been more than at least 10 years for sure. And previously we have support different community that have been affected by the high voltage transmission line, both in the Kimti Dakebao transmission line and also the Machiangdi corridor transmission line. So based on our experience and our knowledge that we have worked alongside the community to demand accountability and compensations and remedy in this case, we have also identified that there are serious problem of how the project developer and also financial institutions who are the key financier of this project have also caused or contribute to the negative impacts that have on the indigenous people in the community. And when we look also not only through the constructions of the transmission line, because this is just part of the project. We know that the transmission lines is actually a supporting structure that are used to support the mega hydropower project. And these mega hydro projects have been proposed across the country, also because of the geography and the landscape of Nepal has also been enabling, but at the same time, we see that there is a strong interest and a strong emphasis like from the government and also like authority to push for the development of this hydropower, which we believe like the development of hydropower and also generating electricity is can be positive and contribute to the economic advancement of the community. But at the same time, it has to be done in a way that fully respect international and also national standards on human rights, on environmental rights, on social protections. So this is how we found that, okay, we would like to gather the information of the previous project of hydropower that has been complete or ongoing process in Nepal and look particularly into the right to free, prior, informed consent, which is part of the right to self-determination of indigenous people. And we have actually identified and examined that there are similar patterns of violation that occur throughout these 4 projects in Nepal. And these 4 projects include the Liku project, the Thanahu hydropower, Upper Trichuli 1, and the Upper Arun project.
So thank you so much for sharing the cases of the violation of free, prior, informed consent, concentrating from Nepal, and that which you have included in FPIC report. But I believe that a number of viewers, my viewers actually, are not aware about the FPIC. So in simple term, could you just elaborate what does the free, prior, and informed consent mean, and why should people care about this FPIC?
Yeah, I think actually, Dev Kumar, you are the expert on this free, prior, informed consent. But we could also provide some background as a context. So the free, prior, and informed consent is the rights that are recognized under the international law, including the ILO conventions 1989, or we call it C-169, which Nepal is a state party, and actually one of the very few countries in Asia that have like fully adopt like this international law. The other documents, like international document that also uphold this right, is the UN declarations on the right of indigenous people, and these are like what I would say as a key cornerstone that have uphold and also provide that indigenous people community have the right to make a decision as a decision maker and as a right holder to direct or to say yes or to say no or to give feedback like to the any project activity that are going to affect their land, their territory, the national resource, and also the way of life of the indigenous people. So this is a very special and unique right that have bestowed for the indigenous community. And at the same time, when we discuss about free, it means that the ability to look into the project and to make a decision should be without any force or coercions. Like the community should be able to engage and participate and express and voice their opinions about the impact or about the activity that will affect their land in the way that they receive full information disclosure. Like so this also come to when we say inform, like that the all information either is positive impact or negative impact, or what are the benefit, what are the things that the community stand to lose, have to be communicated and explained clearly to the community. And for the prior part, like prior, it means that it should take place before the project. Any project activity start, I would actually say that it should take place at the very beginning of the project life cycle, meaning that at the conceptualizing of this project, when like the authority or when the project proponent would like to like engage in the project that will affect community land and territory, they have already to start engage with the community. That we would say prior, because it means that the community still have the right to say no. Like this is something that we have time and time again see in the practice of both like national authority and also international finance, that the consent, like the ability to make a decisions, had been actually erased from the word like FPIC. So this is something that I would like to share as the start.
Since you are based in Bangkok, and I saw that your work is concentrated in so many countries like Myanmar, Nepal, or India, and could you just tell me a bit about what are some of the biggest challenges that the indigenous peoples from these three, or the countries that you're working with, from this region, that the biggest challenges that they are facing, especially getting their voices heard in relations with the development and infrastructure projects?
I think the key thing is, the first thing is the recognitions, the formal recognitions of indigenous people's status, and also recognition of the land. So like for indigenous people, land is a collective, like property or collective, like resource that people use together and make a decision together. And this, in many legal systems, they do not recognize this specialized like way of governing the land by indigenous people. So I think, and in that sense, for the challenge we see is like the government authority have reduced the use of collective land into just individual ownership, and that's when we can see that the government would offer compensations, like as an individual approach to compensate or to provide remedy. But indigenous people delicately linked to their cultural identity, to the heritage, and also to the very being of indigenous people. And that is why like no amount of compensation would actually be able to replace that value. During this research of this report, we also managed to interview the community member who are like have a very strong connection to the river as part of their ancestor, and they explain that it doesn't matter whether how much compensations or benefit that the government would offer if the river system has already been blocked, has already been changed. That going to damage and also linked to the loss of our identity, our traditional knowledge. And in um, the example country we have worked with, also engaged and work with indigenous community. And in that sense, like I would say that there are different level of government or formal recognitions of the right to land, and also the categorizations of being indigenous or non-indigenous people. But what are very common is the retaliations or the threat of coercions, the threat of use of violence, force, police force against the community member who stand up against the project. In some situations, they have been arrested, they have been charged with criminal charge, like for peacefully exercise their right to protect their land and their community. So these are the common challenge that I seen as well in through my.
You have already shared the cases how free, prior, and informed consent was ignored and or the violated. Can you also share some of the example of how the FPIC actually helped a community protect their rights?
Yeah, I think this is when we look back and reflect on our work, and I would say that the community feel that the ability for them to tell the people who are from the outsider to respect their own governance body, like many indigenous community already have the existing structure of collective decision making, and this is like I would say one of the key answers on how we can avoid the conflict, because the collective decision making that are already proposed or exist by the community is the way that people had already come together, express their difference or their similarity, and then find a common ground together and come up with a unique decisions. And I think these are the example that I see when we work with indigenous community many times, when we have asked whether, for example, are you interested to file this complaint to using this mechanism, or submit a letter to the UN special rapporteur. They always told me that thank you for sharing this information and the options, and they would like to bring this issue back to discuss with their own community, and then have the community deliberate about it before coming to a decision, which is I think is a very good example of how you can show that if you let the indigenous people be the one that governs how the decisions are being made and how they can consult among each other and then come up with the final decisions. That's something that we can work together to avoid many conflicts.
Sutharee, from your elaborations, what I sensed is the concept of free, prior, informed consent is important not only for indigenous peoples but also for all the communities. But then, from your elaboration itself, the companies and government have often failed to respect the free, prior, and informed consent. Could you share why or how do companies or the government actually fail to respect these rights despite being important?
Thank you, and I think you're absolutely right. This process of ethics are beneficial for everyone. It's not only for the community, but also the government and also the financier of the project. And we have the research, and we identify that for many project authority, like including company, government authority, or like multilateral development bank that involve. They the project, the way that the project are conceptualized are usually top-down approach, which mean that it has been discussed and proposed already at the very high level meeting among the ministry, among the field management of the banks, but less likely that these are that they're going to accept and develop the project that has been proposed from the ground up level. And this is also because they did not see that the value of having community participation, of having a full disclosure of information to the community, are going to create a genuine understanding and recognition of why this project is important. I think this is something that has been missing by the development bank and also by the project authority. And for the environmental and social safeguards of several development banks, they have clearly mentioned that the FPIC process are very significant and are crucial to proceed with the project that will have impact on indigenous people, right? But at the same time, we have seen that it has been interpreted in the way that's slightly deviate from the international recognized standard. So, for example, some development banks said that the FPIC process will be triggered only if it's related to the land that will have impact on the cultural heritage of the community. But we all know very well that the land that is part of the collective identity of the community are not only the one that have cultural importance, but also even the community forest, which is act as the a supermarket, as a way that people can gather the resource and also find medicine, find the food, and also it has very important role to protect the extreme climate change. These community forests, for example, are not recognized as part of the collective land use, and it has been so the FPIC process to the project that will have impact on community forests have been completely ignored. So that means that the forests are not protected by some of the implementations of the development bank. So these are the weakest points that I see in the implementation.
Okay, thank you. And from your elaborations, I sense that the community participations or community ownership is a key in each development project or the infrastructure projects. And for that, the free prior informed consent FPIC is very important. That means the many companies or government itself are ignorant not only on FPIC, but from your elaborations, they are ignorant for the community participations or the community ownership in such development work. Is that correct?
I'm not sure that I will be able to answer it best, but if I kind of wearing the hats of the government and also the company that developing the project, I think the goal of the corporate is to maximize the profit as much as possible. And with the FPIC process, it require multiple consultation. It require participations of a bigger group of people instead of a smaller group of let's say local leadership. It actually requires the participation of the whole community, including children, women, like the elderly, like the male and female of the community would come together and participate in this project. And this it's going to require resource, like, yeah, to be able to meaningfully participate. And I think it's contradicting to the goal of some of the like company, that they want to maximize the profit, so they want to cut the cost like as much as possible. And as part of FPIC process, inform meaning that people will have access to the information, both negative and positive side, right? And also with transparency, right? But this information should be available to the people in the language and the manner that people are easily understand as well. Many of the EIA are only like the environmental impact assessment only available in English. Like what, like how could you imagine like the community will be able to going through that English report of 200, 300 pages and trying to understand what the impact that's going to happen to them. And this require the resource from the project authority to translate like this information into the local language, and also in the way that will be friendly and easy like for the people to understand. Like even if translate into Nepali, but if it's all technical term, like all like legal term, then like the people will also still have another barrier like to access to these informations. So I think like the key elements like that you can have a meaningful like participation process, you have to provide a resource, and this resource will require like very specific and strong investment both from the company and from the bank, which at the moment we didn't see that. This is the gap. Yeah.
So, Sutharee, we have almost come at the end of the show. I don't want to ask you any more questions, as we are almost at the end of the show, and I would like to give you a time to give last wordings, if possible, with some messages that you want to give to the viewers.
So I do have actually two messages. So the first one is for the development banks that are the key financier of the project, like that when the bank are considering the new project, it's actually will save you time and a lot of resource to do it right from the beginning. Have a strong due diligence like in place to check for the previous record of like human rights violations or indigenous people right violations of the project promoter. Like these are something that the bank should identify and also ask for the correction before the bank can finance the next project. This is like our main request for the development bank. For the community itself, like I think like based on our work, we know that like the fight actually like lie with the community. The strength of like the community movement is lie with equipping community with knowledge on the equal right, with the skill, with the many like capacity building like that they able to emancipate like and also exercise the right like by themselves, like and also meaningfully like express like what the decision that they would want to make like through this project. And at the same time, we cannot ignore as a community like the voice of maybe more marginalized and vulnerable populations, such as women, the elderly, the people with disability, the children, like young people. Like these are the group that also should have equal voice in the community as well. So I think this would be my two key message. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sutharee, for your time and also esteemed thought. And also, thank you so much for joining us at the Indigenous television.
Thank you so much, Dev Kumar. It's a pleasure to speak with you again. Yeah, and hope to see you next time if you come to Bangkok.
Thank you so much, Sutharee, once again. And today in this episode, I have invited one of the renowned the lawyer from Bangkok, who is based in Bangkok. She comes from Thailand. Her name is Sutharee Wanasiri, and we actually discussed about the issues related with free, prior, and informed consent and its violations relating with the development project or infrastructure projects which are being undertaken in Nepal, and also a kind of examples from Myanmar and India too, based on the report that Accountability Council actually recently launched. So next week I will come up with new guests to discuss new issues. For that, if you have any queries related with the program, you can reach us at indigenous television@gmail.com. By then, keep watching Indigenous Television and ITV Nepal. Have a nice weekend. Namaste.